My daughter canceled our dream trip claiming financial ruin, only to secretly go with her in-laws to the exact same resort on the same dates. When she returned begging for $100,000, I handed her a single envelope that wiped out her entire inheritance forever. Before continuing, write where you are from or what time it is. The phone rang twice before I realized my hands were shaking. Sarah's name glowed on the screen, bright against the dim light of my living room. It was the second call this week, which wasn't like her. Usually I had to chase her down for a 5-minute update, but lately the phone had been buzzing more often. I swiped to answer. "Dad, we can't do Hawaii." Her voice had that specific tone, smooth, careful, the client voice she used at her marketing firm when a project missed a deadline. "I'm so sorry," she said. The afternoon sun streaming through my Tucson window suddenly felt like a spotlight, harsh and exposing. I looked at the shopping bags sitting on my couch. They were still full. The Hawaiian shirts I'd spent 3 hours picking out were folded inside, price tags still attached. $180, I whispered to no one. That's what I'd spent 3 days ago. "What happened, honey?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "David's company is downsizing," she said, the lie coming fast. "There's a chance he'll lose his position. We just can't afford any trips right now. I know you were looking forward to it." "I understand," I said. The disappointment tasted like ash, but I swallowed it. These things happen in business. The trip isn't important. What matters is that you and David get through this. I waited. I waited for her to say, "Maybe next month, or why don't you come for dinner instead?" "If you need anything," I said, the reflex of a father kicking in. "Anything at all, you know I'm here." Silence stretched between us. Heavy. Thick. "No, Dad," she said finally. "We need to handle this ourselves, but thank you. That means a lot. I'll call you when things settle down, okay?" The line went dead. I set the phone on the coffee table and stared at the bags. 1 week earlier, I'd stood in this exact spot when the invitation came. Sarah's voice had been bright then. "Dad, what if we did Hawaii together? End of August, just you, me, and David. Real family time." I had felt a warmth spread through my chest that I hadn't felt in years. Since retiring from real estate 2 years ago, the silence in the house had grown louder. I hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving. 4 months. That night, I stayed up past midnight. I researched Maui restaurants. I read reviews of snorkeling tours. I studied a guidebook I'd ordered from Amazon, highlighting the best spots. I found a tour company that went to Molokini Crater. Spectacular reviews, reasonable price. I booked it immediately, my hands steady as I typed in my credit card info, imagining the look on Sarah's face when she saw the coral reefs. I went to the barber, got my hair shaped up nice, went to CVS for sunscreen, SPF 50, the good kind that doesn't leave white streaks. At the department store, the saleswoman asked, "Special occasion?" "Vacation with my daughter," I told her, and I meant it. I was proud. Now, the silence in the house wasn't just loud, it was mocking. I picked up one of the shopping bags. I pulled out a shirt covered in palm trees and surfboards. The fabric felt expensive. I folded it carefully and placed it back inside. The next morning, I returned everything. The customer service line was short. The clerk scanned my receipt. "Store credit?" "No refund, please," I said. "I won't be needing vacation clothes." She processed it without a word. $180 back on my card. Back home, I opened my laptop. I navigated to the tour company's website, found my reservation, and clicked cancel. 3 screens asked, "Are you sure?" Yes. I was sure. I tried calling Sarah that afternoon. Voicemail. "Hi, sweetheart, just checking in. Want to know how David's doing?" She texted back an hour later. "Busy dealing with everything. We'll call soon." 2 days passed. I called again. Voicemail. Another text. "Still figuring things out. Talk later." By the end of the week, I stopped calling. I understood crisis management. You circle the wagons. You cut out the noise, even if the noise is your father. But sitting alone at my kitchen table that evening, phone face up beside my coffee mug, I couldn't shake the itch. Something didn't fit. The refusal of help. The silence. The specific cadence of her voice when she canceled. The Tucson evening stretched out in shades of orange and purple through the window. Neighbors were coming home, garage doors grinding open and shut. I rarely checked Facebook. I couldn't remember the last time I logged in, but people posted updates there, didn't they? Maybe there was news about David's company, maybe a hint about what was really wrong. I opened the laptop. The screen glowed blue in the darkening kitchen. I typed my password wrong twice, had to reset it. Finally, my newsfeed appeared. Photos of grandchildren I'd never met, political rants from old colleagues. I scrolled, looking for reassurance. Then I saw it. Sarah's post, 6 hours ago. A photo. Sarah and David on a beach, sunset blazing behind them, golden light, perfect smiles, and standing right next to them, arms draped over their shoulders, were Robert and Linda, the Bensons, my in-laws. The caption read, "Best family vacation, Ohana time, Hawaii dreaming." I stared. I reread it, posted yesterday. My blood ran cold. I clicked on the photo, enlarging it until their faces filled my screen. Sarah's smile was genuine, not the polite, tight-lipped one she gave me at Christmas. This was real joy. David had his arm around Robert. Linda wore a flower lei. Behind them, I saw the infinity pool of an expensive resort. My vision narrowed. The world shrank to the size of my monitor. I clicked the arrow. Next photo. Robert holding a Mai Tai on a balcony. Next. Linda and Sarah at a luau, wearing matching flower crowns. Next, all four of them in snorkeling gear standing on a boat. I leaned in. I recognized the logo on the captain's shirt. Molokini Crater Tours. It was the exact tour I had booked. The exact dates we were supposed to be there. They hadn't canceled. They had replaced me. I didn't rage. I didn't throw the laptop. My training took over. 30 years in real estate teaches you one thing. When the deal goes sideways, you audit the books. I sat back and breathed slowly through my nose. I clicked back to Sarah's main page. I scrolled down. 2 weeks ago, before she called me to cancel. Post, can't wait for upcoming adventures. Comments, lucky you, so jealous. I scrolled further. 3 weeks ago, a screenshot of plane tickets with the destinations blurred out. Caption, countdown begins. Robert had commented with a string of palm tree emojis. The timeline crystallized like ice. She had planned this trip with the Bensons first. Then, maybe out of guilt, maybe pressure, she invited me. Then, the Bensons probably leaned on her. Just us, honey. Family time. Or maybe she just looked at the itinerary and decided I was too much work. Too boring. Too old. So she cut me. David's job. Financial trouble. Lies. That resort in the background was $400 a night minimum. Their finances were fine. I opened a new folder on my desktop. Named it Sarah. August 2025. I started taking screenshots. Every photo, every timestamp, every comment. Click, save, click, save. Methodical, clinical. When I finished, I had 17 files. I closed the laptop. The kitchen was pitch black now. I hadn't turned on a single light. I walked to the kitchen drawer and retrieved the notebook I use for grocery lists. I opened to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote in careful block letters, what I know, what I need to know. First entry, Sarah lies easily. Second entry, she chose them. Don't call, I whispered to the empty room. Don't text, wait, watch. My phone sat on the table, screen dark, no messages. She was too busy enjoying the sunset I was supposed to be watching with her. I walked to the window. The porch lights of the neighborhood were glowing. Sarah would be back in a few days. She'd call, expecting the supportive, clueless dad. And I would be him. I'd answer. I'd ask about David. I'd tell her I understood. I would play the part perfectly, because now I needed to know exactly who my daughter had become. 2 days later, she was back. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. On my computer screen, a spreadsheet was open, titled Assets, September 2025. I had been working on this for 48 hours. The notebook beside me was filled with numbers. Property tax assessment, $850,000 for the house. No mortgage, paid off 5 years ago. investment portfolio, $420,000 in index funds and bonds, 401k rollover, $380,000, savings accounts, $95,000. I wasn't just counting my wealth, I was calculating my leverage. Then I opened the second spreadsheet. This one hurt. Title, Gifts, Sarah Miller Morrison, 2017-2025. I pulled up the old bank records. June 2017, $25,000 check, wedding expenses. 2019, $15,000. Her Honda broke down. Dad, I can't get to work. 2021, $8,000. Living room furniture, our first real couch. I scrolled through Venmo. $2,000 for medical bills. $3,000 for David's certification course. My $500 for emergency home repairs. I summed the column. $79,400 over 8 years, nearly $10,000 a year. I wasn't her father. I was her ATM. My phone rang again. Voicemail. I played it on speaker. Dad, I'm getting worried. You haven't called back. I'm coming by this afternoon around 3. I need to see that you're all right. I checked my watch. 2:47 p.m. 13 minutes. I saved the spreadsheets. I locked the notebook in my desk drawer. I went to the bathroom and checked the mirror. Gray stubble, old cardigan, reading glasses. I looked harmless. At 3:00 p.m. exactly, the doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw her silver Lexus. She was holding a coffee carrier. I took a deep breath, composed my face into a mask of mild confusion, and opened the door. Dad, she thrust a cup at me. I was worried. You haven't been answering. I'm fine, I said, taking the cup. Just busy, paperwork. She walked in, scanning the room. Looking for signs of dementia, a fall, or just checking if the bank was still open. We sat in the living room, not the kitchen. The kitchen was where I found the truth. The kitchen was closed. She perched on the edge of the couch. Work has been crazy since we got back, she said. The marketing campaign deadline moved up. David's been putting in extra hours. Testing me. The weather's been beautiful, though, she added. Have you been getting out? Mm-hmm, I said. Silence. Usually I would ask, how was the trip? Did David save his job? I said nothing. 15 minutes of this. She was getting twitchy. The silence was a mirror, and she didn't like what she saw in it. Dad, is something wrong? She asked, setting down her coffee too hard. You seem distant. I looked at her, really looked at her. I'm the same as I've always been, Sarah. Maybe you're the one who's changed. Her eyes widened, a flicker of panic. What do you mean? How's David's job situation? That downsizing you mentioned? She blinked. Oh, that. It worked out. False alarm. Everything's fine now. I'm glad to hear it, I said. Must be a relief. Huge, she laughed nervously. She stood up abruptly. I should get going. David's expecting me. I walked her to the door. She paused, looked like she wanted to say something, then turned and left. I watched her Lexus disappear. I went back to my desk, unlocked the drawer, opened the notebook. New header, next steps, legal consultation, asset protection, wait for her next move. She would call again. And next time, I would be ready. The attorney's office was on the 14th floor. Evans and Associates etched in frosted glass. I was early. My manila folder was thick with the spreadsheets. Attorney Evans was a sharp man in his mid-50s. No nonsense. Mr. Miller, he said, gesturing to a leather chair. You mentioned estate planning. I'm 63, I said. Retired. Substantial assets. One daughter. I want to explore an irrevocable trust. Evans raised an eyebrow. Irrevocable is permanent, Art. You give up control. You cannot reclaim the assets. Are you sure? I'm sure, I said. I want my estate distributed according to my values, not assumptions. He walked me through it. The trust would hold the house, the investments, the cash. I needed a beneficiary. Cost is $3,500, Evans said. Includes the trust and will revision. Done. I drove home. The traffic on I-10 was building. My phone showed 2 missed calls from Sarah. She was circling, warming me up. I called her back. Dad, just wanted to tell you something interesting, she said. Her voice had that fake enthusiasm again. David and I met some friends. They're opening a coffee franchise. Apparently, there's good money in specialty coffee. Here it comes. You always understood business, she flattered me. I thought of you. Send me the details, I said. I'll take a look. 3 days later, Evans emailed the draft trust documents. The grantor hereby permanently and irrevocably transfers. The beneficiary line was blank. I spent the evening researching. I found the Arizona Veterans Alliance. 87% of funds went directly to homeless veterans. Transparent, solid. I emailed Evans. Beneficiary, Arizona Veterans Alliance. Also add a clause to the will. Daughter receives nothing unless she accepts the trust terms without challenge. 2 days later, Sarah called. Dad, remember that franchise? They're looking for investors. It's a limited opportunity. Send the plan, I said. The email arrived at 4:47 p.m. Subject, coffee shop investment opportunity. It was garbage, 23 pages of fluff, no restaurant experience in the management team, projected returns of 25% annually. Ridiculous. And there, on page 19, the ask, $100,000 for a 15% equity stake. I read it twice. I checked the numbers. It was a fantasy. I emailed back. Interesting. Let me think about this for a week. She replied instantly. Of course, but they need to know by the end of the month. Family comes first. Family comes first. The irony was sharp enough to cut glass. I looked at my calendar. End of the month, September 30th. Trust finalization, September 25th. 5 days. If I timed this right, my assets would be locked away exactly 5 days before she came to collect. It was a trap, and she was walking right into it. 2 car doors slammed. I watched from the window. Sarah and David walked up the driveway. David had a leather portfolio tucked under his arm. It was early October now. The heat was still brutal. The trust had been finalized 2 days ago, September 25th. Notarized, filed, done. The house wasn't mine anymore. The money wasn't mine. It belonged to the veterans. I opened the door before they rang. Dad, Sarah hugged me, too tight, compensating. Thanks for making time, Art, David said, shaking my hand. Coffee? I went to the kitchen. When I came back, David had spread the papers on the coffee table. Art, we've been watching the market, David started, rehearsed. The growth trajectory is exceptional. Our friend secured a prime location near the campus. He tapped a tablet. The investment is $100,000 for 15%. We have 3 other investors committed. Who's managing it? I asked. The franchise provides training, David said. Who is running the store, David? Day to day. Our friends. They're motivated entrepreneurs. He was sweating. He didn't know. Sarah jumped in. She reached across the table and took my hand. Dad, I know you're careful, but this is about our future. She dropped her voice. David and I have been talking about starting a family. This investment, it would give us stability. Your grandchildren could grow up knowing their grandfather helped build something. Grandchildren, the ace in the hole. I looked at her face. She was good. If I hadn't seen the photos, if I hadn't tracked the lies, I might have cried. Starting a family is significant, I said calmly. That's why this deserves careful consideration. The timing is critical, David pressed. The other investors need confirmation by the end of the month. Then they'll have to wait 1 week, I said. 1 week? Sarah's face fell. That's my decision. If the opportunity is solid, it can withstand 7 days of due diligence. David closed his portfolio. Snap. At the door, Sarah hugged me again. Please, Dad, believe in us. I watched them sit in the car for 5 minutes, arguing, David hitting the steering wheel. They were panicked. Why? I went to my desk. I pulled out the manila envelope. Inside were the copies of the trust, the deed transfer, the new will. She had asked for $100,000. I texted her, I've made my decision. Come by on Friday afternoon. Come alone, just you and me. She replied in seconds. Okay, Dad, thank you. See you Friday. She thought I was writing a check. She had no idea I was handing her a verdict. Friday afternoon. The sun cut sharp angles across the living room floor. I had arranged 2 chairs facing each other, formal, like a deposition. The manila envelope sat on the coffee table between us. Sarah arrived exactly on time. She smiled, hugged me. It's been a nice week, Dad. She sat down, eyeing the envelope. She was practically vibrating with greed. I've been thinking about what you said, she started, about believing in us. I held up a hand. Before we talk about investments, I need to discuss something else. Sure, what is it? When you canceled our Hawaii trip, you said David's job was in jeopardy, financial troubles. I believed you. I kept my voice flat, deadly. Then I saw your Facebook posts. You were in Maui, those exact dates, with David and with the Bensons. Her face went gray. All the blood drained out of it instantly. Dad, I can explain. You lied to exclude me, I said. Because Robert and Linda wanted their family vacation without me. You chose them. It wasn't like that. They surprised us with tickets. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Stop. Dad, that was months ago. Can't we move past it? This investment is about our future. She was incredible. She was actually trying to pivot back to the money. You want $100,000? I asked. I picked up the envelope. You expected me to write a check like I always have. I slid the envelope across the table. I'm not giving you $100,000, but I am giving you something. Take this instead. She opened it, confused. She pulled out the notarized documents. Her lips moved as she read. Irrevocable Trust, Arizona Veterans Alliance. This says, you transferred the house, she whispered. To a charity? And the investments, I added. She flipped the pages. When is this dated? September 25th, 5 days before you asked for the money. I get nothing? She looked up, horror dawning on her. Read the will. There's a conditional provision. She stood up, stumbling. Dad, what did you do? This is insane. You can't just... She collapsed onto the couch, not fainting, just crushed by the weight of the consequences. You chose the Bensons' approval over your father, I said, standing over her. I chose to support people who actually deserve it. Can this be changed? Can you undo it? No. That's what irrevocable means. She left the papers on the floor. She walked to the door, shaking. Sarah, I called out. She stopped. The conditional provision, $50,000 after my death. If you accept the trust without challenge, read the last page. She walked out. The door didn't slam. It just clicked. I watched through the window. She sat in her car for 7 minutes. I counted them. She was on the phone, crying, telling David, telling Robert, let them scream. The law was on my side. The blowback started 43 minutes later. Sarah called. I ignored it. David called, ignored, Sarah again. By Saturday morning, my voicemail was full. Message 1. Sarah. Sobbing. How could you do this? Just how? Message 2. Sarah. Anger. Someone is manipulating you. You need to think clearly. Message 3. David. Art, we need to discuss this rationally. There are options. Then came the big gun. Message 4. Robert Benson. Deep voice, authoritative. Art, this is Robert. We have concerns about your competency. There are serious legal implications. Call me immediately. I wrote that down. Legal implications, competency. They were going to claim I had lost my mind, that I was senile. Tuesday morning, a FedEx truck pulled up, a thick envelope. Benson and Associates. Robert was a lawyer? No, he hired one. Demand for rescission. I read it. It claimed diminished capacity and undue influence. It demanded I dissolve the trust within 10 days or face litigation. I drove to Evans's office. He read the letter with a red pen in hand. Standard intimidation, he said. They're betting you'll panic. Can they win? They can sue, Evans said. It's expensive and invasive, but we have an advantage. The trust predates their ask by 5 days. You were represented by counsel. You were rational. So what do? We get ahead of it, Evans said. Medical evaluations, now, while their challenge is pending. Prove you're sane. I nodded. Set it up. Driving home, Sarah called. I answered this time. Dad, Robert says we have grounds to fight this, she said. Her voice was hard. He says you weren't thinking clearly. You're going to claim I'm incompetent? Your own father? "You gave away my inheritance to strangers," she screamed. "I've never been more rational in my life," I said quietly. "You'll learn that in court." I hung up. I pulled out my notebook. New page. Defense strategy. Medical exams. Jim's statement. Find the truth about the money. That last one was nagging me. The coffee franchise was fake, clearly. But why did they need $100,000 so badly? What was Robert really after? 3 doctors in 10 days. Primary physician, excellent health. Neurologist, mini mental state exam score 2930. I missed the exact date by 1 day. Who cares? Psychologist, patient demonstrates clear logical thinking. I was bulletproof. Then my old friend Jim called. "Art, check your email," he said. He sent a screenshot of Sarah's Facebook, a post about watching a parent struggle and aging family members. The comments were full of prayers. She was publicly painting me as senile. "Robert Benson has been holding court at the club," Jim said, "telling everyone you've lost your grip, giving your estate to random charities." It's a lie, Jim. Saturday, I went to the golf course. I refused to hide. Jim met me at the 9th hole. "Mind if I walk with you?" We walked. "That coffee franchise," Jim said casually. "I ran into Mike Patterson. Sarah said he was investing. I asked him. And? He had no clue. Said there is no franchise." I stopped walking. "But here's the kicker," Jim said, lining up a putt. "I heard Robert at the clubhouse, talking about his house renovation and buying a boat, an expensive one, right after Sarah asked you for the money." Click. There was no business. Robert wanted a boat, and he wanted me to pay for it via my daughter. "Jim," I said, "would you put that in writing?" 2 days later, I had Jim's sworn statement. I took everything to Evans, the medical reports, the timeline, the Facebook screenshots from Hawaii, Jim's statement about the fraud. Evans smiled, a shark smile. "This is excellent. If they sue, we file for sanctions, frivolous litigation." The 10-day deadline passed. No lawsuit. Then a text from Sarah. "Dad, can we talk? Just you and me. No lawyers." I showed Evans. "They want to negotiate," he said. "They know they can't win in court." The lawsuit ended with a whimper. Evans received a letter withdrawing all claims. They had folded. I texted Sarah, "Come by Friday, alone." I didn't tell her I knew the lawsuit was dead. Let her sweat. Friday, 2 p.m. Sarah looked tired. No makeup, jeans, calculated vulnerability. "Dad, I've had weeks to think," she said, tears welling up. "I was wrong. I let David's parents influence me. I'm sorry." Real tears. Performance. I didn't care. "I'm not asking for the money," she said. "But the trust. Couldn't we revisit it? Maybe add me as a co-beneficiary? You'd still help veterans." I slid Jim's statement across the table. "Before we discuss trusts, let's discuss truth." She read it. Her face went pale. "There was no franchise," I said. "Robert wanted a boat. You tried to scam me for him. Glenn and Linda pushed me." "I'm caught in the middle." "You had choices," I said. "You chose to lie." "Give me one chance," she begged. "I'll fix it." "There is a conditional provision," I reminded her. $50,000. "I'll do anything." "Here is the condition," I said. "You will come here next Saturday with David and with Robert and Linda. You will confess everything, out loud, in front of them, with my attorney as a witness." She recoiled. "That's humiliation. They'll never forgive me. It will destroy my marriage." "Then don't do it," I said. "Walk away." "That's extortion." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe it's the price of truth." She stormed out. I sat in the silence. It felt clean. I checked my mail. A letter from the Arizona Veterans Alliance. A thank you note. My first quarterly distribution of $8,000 had helped house 3 veterans. Real impact. I went to my computer. I opened the bookmark for the Maui resort. Maybe it was time. 4 weeks passed. Silence. Then a text. Sunday night, 11 p.m. "I'm ready, I'll do it. Tell me when." Saturday, 2 p.m. The air in my living room was thick enough to choke on. Evans was there, sitting quietly with his notepad. Sarah and David sat on the couch. David looked confused. He didn't know why they were here. Robert and Linda Benson walked in like they owned the place. "Gus, glad you reconsidered this charity nonsense," Robert boomed. "We can work something out." "We're not here to discuss the trust," I said. "It's not changing. We're here because Sarah has something to say." I nodded to Sarah. She was shaking. She took a deep breath. "I need to admit things," she whispered. "What is this?" Linda snapped. "Last August," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "I invited Dad to Hawaii. Then I canceled. I said we had financial trouble." "That was a lie," she said. "We went to Hawaii with Robert and Linda. It was planned that way from the start. Dad was never supposed to go." Silence. Absolute silence. "And the coffee franchise," Sarah continued, tears running down her face. "It wasn't real. There were no investors." She looked at Robert. "Robert wanted money for a renovation and a boat. He asked us to get it from Dad. We lied." Robert shot to his feet. "This is ridiculous. That investment was legit." I placed Jim's statement on the table. "I have a sworn witness," I said. "You were bragging about the boat the same week my daughter asked for the money." The room exploded. Linda screamed at Sarah. "After everything we've done for you, you betray us." David looked at his wife, devastated. "You told me he couldn't make it. Why didn't you tell me the truth?" "I was trying to make everyone happy," Sarah sobbed. "You orchestrated this humiliation," Robert spat at me. "I gave her a choice," I said calmly. "Truth or nothing. She chose truth." "Get out," Robert said to Sarah. I stood up. "This meeting is over." Evans produced the papers. "This establishes a $50,000 trust for Mrs. Morrison, accessible upon Mr. Miller's death. Condition, confession accepted." Sarah signed. Her hand shook so bad the pen tore the paper. The Bensons stormed out. David walked out separately, not looking at Sarah. Sarah followed him, alone. "That was ugly," Evans said, packing up. "Pretty lies got us here," I said. "Ugly truth gets us out." After Evans left, I was alone. I picked up the thank you letter from the Veterans Alliance. I walked to my office. I opened the laptop. I booked the ticket. Hawaiian Airlines, seat 12A, one passenger, Arthur Miller, September in Maui, snorkeling at Molokini, alone. I looked at the empty house. It didn't feel empty anymore. It felt peaceful. My phone was silent. No texts, no lies, no demands. The sun was setting over the desert, painting the sky gold and red. I had won, not by destroying them, but by refusing to be destroyed. I'd keep my integrity, and I'd keep my ticket to Maui. Fair trade. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.